the core of it is always going to be how do you make good ads, where you can make it faster with AI. But always the key is the testing, right? So if you have 100 ads that you're able to test, then that will tell you which one works best. It is where AI really shines.
There is a thing around polish versus authenticity, right? People see these highly polished videos, beautiful things. You're like, someone's trying to sell me something.
It's only in tools like N8N where you can strictly customize what goes into that caption.
Jay Enriquez formerly managed some of the top brands in the world, now runs RoboLabs and RoboNuggets, one of the largest AI communities with over 1,300 members. Today, he's revealing the secrets behind AI-driven content that actually converts.
I started on TikTok with an orange and a stick. Very simple, but it's quite effective. Like, I didn't check Instagram for a while, and then suddenly I have 60K followers in there now, all by reposting what I have on TikTok, because a few videos went viral and stuff. So that's sort of a mini hack. Be aware about the latest AI models as much as you reasonably can. I think if you stay on this track as long as possible, then it will pay dividends for you down the line. AI is able to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you, not just the creation of the image and the content, but also even the posting of it. That margin can go as high as 90%, even higher sometimes. And the barrier to entry to it is also much lower, right? I think because there's a real need, people and the industry at large will solve this at some future point. The customer is not a moron. She's your wife.
Welcome to the N8N podcast. I'm here with Jay Enriquez, aka RoboNuggets. You might be used to seeing his lollipop on a stick through all of his short form content. Jay, it's awesome to have you on the podcast, brother.
Thank you, Dylan. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. It's so good to connect with you because it's funny because I hear your voice and I know you from social media that way, but it's funny to see your face and actually go, oh, you're the guy who makes all of the amazing video generation content on the social media. And you got started on TikTok, is that right?
TikTok, exactly. With the orange and a stick, pretty much.
And you primarily focus on content generation using N8N as an automation platform. Can you talk to me about a couple of the different primary use cases for AI content generation using N8N?
Yeah, absolutely. Because with the stuff that I do on socials, so RoboNuggets is sort of our education platform and probably how people most know me across socials. But my day job is I lead an AI agency that specializes in helping mostly brands and content businesses use AI in meaningful ways, right? And N8N functions as sort of our orchestrator and central point to a lot of the builds that we do. So there's primarily a couple of use cases that we do. One is through AI, we're able to generate more content for clients. For example, we have this workflow that takes, let's say, any long form video, like this podcast, for example, and just clips it into short form content. And that way, a lot of that is automated. Recently, because of the advent of VO3, which got popular past few months, people have probably seen a lot of the Bigfoot videos and the ASMR AI videos all over TikTok and other social platforms. But the way we start to use it now is we're starting to unlock how to use it for brands and products as well. So just recently, I think maybe a week ago, I made this automation that I publish on my YouTube channel as well, where if you have a picture of any product that you have, even if it's not a well-known product, you feed that into GPT's Image 1 model, OpenAI's Image 1 model, and then use that generated image where your product is placed in the scene to feed it into VO3. And the reason why we do it in N8N is because a lot of the prompt engineering, which is required in order to achieve really good outputs, we actually offload that task into the AI agent node that N8N has. So we have a system prompt in there that sort of crafts the prompts, and then N8N's, and then our workflow in N8N processes all our inputs, and out comes the really good content, really good logo animation, and whatever it is that you need. So I'd say it's more around automating content for more content, and then you have a stream around getting better quality. That used to take to do those kinds of things, you needed to learn things like After Effects or Cinema 4D before, but now the barrier to entry to them has become much lower thanks to the tools that we have now. So that's most of what we do.
So what you're saying is that you have an AI agent inside N8N that knows the right parameters to prompt the video generation AI system to be able to get the output that you want, whether it's some sort of logo generation or crazy apes running through the jungle. And so it makes it really simple for businesses and other people to be able to use the technology to output what they want.
Correct.
I love it. And we're talking about a couple of different use cases. One is, taking podcast long form content, cutting it up into short form content to get a larger distribution network. Another one is around if you maybe are a someone who maybe has funny content, but you need better videos to show them off, like the apes and all their shenanigans going through the jungle. And then the other one it comes down to is if you are making some sort of content and you need B-roll footage, some sort of footage that supports the long form video content that you're making, being able to prompt the system to create that output. So as the human is talking in the video, you can slam in that B-roll video generation to kind of add to the video. And primarily a lot of that's used around to get rid of what's called like eye fatigue. Instead of looking at the same image over and over again, you're now slicing and dicing all these different images and cut them up. Is that correct?
Exactly. And actually, I was just watching a couple of YouTube channels recently. I'm not sure if people know Mark Manson, but I watched his video that he released, I think, yesterday. And at least for a trained eye, because I know what VO3 outputs look like, I can determine which B-roll are made with VO3. And probably people who are watching this can somehow identify if they go to this channel or some other YouTube channels as well. And it's really good, right? It's like it doesn't take away from the experience at all. And so creative agencies or people who edit these videos as part of the service offering that they do, there's a lot of leverage to be had once they start using AI instead of, let's say, purchasing stock footage or specific, like this is a specific scene that I need for this B-roll. I need to find it. That takes a lot of time. Whereas if you have this N8N workflow where you just describe it, the agent prompt engineers everything for you so that you get what you need and then passes it along to VO3. That is a much better way of work, I would say, versus having to do it manually from the time before. So yeah, exactly.
And it's interesting with that. Who is actually, who gets the most value? Are you talking, is this content creation agencies that want to be able to make content faster and better, or their businesses? Like, who are the primary people that get a lot of value out of this content creation generation systems?
Right now, I would say it's definitely the content creation agencies. Basically, whatever they call themselves, if they're offering creatives as a service for people, that is where the value is coming from. So, for example, before when we used to deal with clients, and let's say we have a deal to create, let's say 10 social media posts for this month, and then we have the retainer to do that for month on month, and we charge them, let's say $80 per post. It used to be that you would need an account manager plus a creative designer who would create those images or videos for you, and each image or video can roughly take maybe 20 minutes to an hour, depending on the complexity. But now, because of AI and because of things like VO3 and N8N to orchestrate a lot of these automations, you can actually do them in like mere seconds. Like you can hit a button, walk away, and see the output. And it costs less than $1 to create that type of video or image. And so the effect of that is the margin that you get, when it used to be something like 40 to 60% per engagement would be sort of the average. Because AI is able to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you, not just the creation of the image and the content, but also even the posting of it through some of the tools that are available now. That margin can go as high as 90%, even higher sometimes. And the barrier to entry to it is also much lower, right? So if before, like I used to work with Unilever was where a lot of my marketing career began. And we used to work with creative agencies like Ogilvy and McCann and all these big guns in the industry. And I would think that now, because AI is so powerful and automation is so powerful, there exists sort of a niche sort of opportunity for people to get into the space that even agencies like Ogilvy and McCann are venturing into. But now they're able to do it because the AI video models are getting there in terms of the composability, the quality, and everything else in between.
There's a couple elements of it, right? There's the AI that will actually write the scripts for you, for example. There's the AI that will create the content for you. But it seems like there's this point of trying to have the human spirit, like these gorilla videos, where we have these gorilla videos that are really funny, that are not written by AI. They're clearly written by some humans that think this is really funny. So where does the blend of the creativity of the human trying to make a really engaging video come into? And then how does that merge with this generation of AI, whether it's video generation, script writing, and all that?
Yeah, absolutely. I can probably speak about it on two levels. Like one is sort of the broad overview of how we approach it. And this is I believe, quite unique in how we use N8N in this instance. Because if you're building, say, usually an automation in N8N where it's about streamlining an operation to have less time, less effort, usually that's scheduled using like a trigger that is a webhook or either a scheduled trigger. But a lot of the workflows that we use internally, they function as sort of like mini applications. So you build the workflow, and then whenever you need it, you call on it on demand. And so let's say in your example, if I'm trying to create, let's say, one of those Bigfoot videos, yes, you have this workflow that helps you. You have your AI agent there that helps you operationally, and this is sort of the level 2 of how we do it. What I usually do is I open it, let's say, and I will trigger and play it up until the AI agent workflow so that I can inspect what the prompts are that is outputted from that before I send it to VO3. So it's sort of like an on-demand service where I inspect the prompts first, check if it's good, and then pass it along. And then some videos we featured, we took advantage of some of the human-in-the-loop nodes that N8N also has. So that also allows you to do it on the fly, for example, in Telegram, WhatsApp, and things like that.
Yeah, that's what I was about to talk about. Was this is a great use case for human in the loop, where you wanted to generate this, but you wanted to get to a point where a human can inspect it. Because if you did have an account manager or somebody reviewing this, you want them to kind of take a look at the script beforehand and see, okay, here's exactly what's happening inside of here. I see what they said, but let's not use this word or that word or this sentence, and then swap it out and then send it back through and say, thumbs up on this. Let's go ahead and send this through. And so it's kind of being able to have a final human loop check to make sure that the content that you're spending, especially if you're spending money on VO3 credits or anything else, you want to make sure that's actually producing at the quality and level that you expect.
Exactly. So it's always, right now, the way to do it is both human and AI assisted. Humans AI assisted is essentially how the best function works.
Yeah. And then what do you see as the most mind-blowing AI generated videos lately? What are the ones that you see that you, as someone who's deeply in the space, go, wow, that is awesome?
That's an interesting question. I think it varies depending on the period. Like, I remember before when we first started, I was so blown away by DALL-E. Like, if people remember back in the days, I don't know how many months ago, DALL-E and Stable Diffusion were the primary image generators. You had to set up like automatic 1111 or Comfy UI, which is still present now, to do those. But now, like with VO3, obviously past few months, there's a lot of great content that was previously unavailable because of the audio visual lock that VO3 has enabled. So I'd say if you asked me a few months ago, that would be my answer. But now, because my background has been on brand and marketing, I'm really impressed by the amount of creativity and prompt engineering that goes into creating videos for brands. So for example, if you hop over on Twitter, actually, like Twitter is one of the best spaces to get inspired. There's a lot of creators there who are crafting these prompts that are by their nature JSON formats, like JavaScript object notation formats. So they have like the parameters and attributes in there. And that allows them to, let's say, create an IKEA ad that is going to basically rival what you see on TV commercials. And we feature this a lot on our channels too, like that human in the loop component that we talked about earlier. We were able to create workflows where, let's say, I take a picture of whatever product I have, let's say this earpods, then you'll be able to place it on the scene and just generate a high VFX studio grade video coming from that. So I'd say if people are interested in how to take most advantage, that has the most practical use case right now with AI and N8N and video generation, those are probably where I'd pay attention to. That plus, the faceless content is still there. Like the ASMR videos are still pretty good.
Yeah, the artist formerly known as Twitter has some really good cutting edge content on it. If you look at it, you can see what people are producing. And then part of this value generation, right, is seeing what they as a concept and then like turning those into actual YouTube videos and saying, this is actually a really interesting concept. Let me put my own spin on it with what I have and then put it out there so that a lot more people can see how did they build that? What did it look like? What are these things looking like? And I think most importantly too is, what is like the current latest and greatest tech stacks that people are using? Like, so we have N8N, right? Whether you're using Claude or OpenAI or Grok, and you have VO3. What do you think right now is the current gold standard for a tech stack for people that want to use image generation automation?
Honestly, when people watch this on like a month from now, it may change.
I know, man.
Maybe sort of the how to fish component of this is whenever I try to refresh myself on what's the latest and greatest. Like Twitter is good as sort of a feed, but people should really check out like the Arena Elo leaderboards, because that shows you, that's basically like I think it's an open source project where on that website people are served, let's say, two different images or two different videos, and they do blind voting, and then they do a score based on how much votes this model got versus the other. So
What is that? What's the name of that website again?
Arena Elo leaderboards. I'm not sure who is the primary sponsor of that, but if you just search Arena leaderboards for AI video models, that will come up basically.
I was not aware of that. Okay, cool. And so you can basically
artificialanalysis.ai is the website basically. But yeah, so and if you look at that, the top models are VO3 is there for sure. But since a lot of, I'd say if people want to learn these kinds of things, VO3 would be the best right now for video as of the time of this recording. And for the images, like GPT's Image 1 model plus Flux Context would be some of the best. I think with video, it's tricky because if you look at the leaderboards, models like CDance are actually on top versus VO3. But VO3's audio capabilities is just unique, right? So it's currently the only one that can do that. And so a lot of people still gravitate towards VO3 as the top video model just because of that key capability that is not really present anywhere else.
Got it. Yeah, I didn't know about that website. It's cool to see the leaderboards and see what people are doing in terms of real-time competitions and how it's performing. And then you kind of see the latest and greatest, Thunderdome style. I wonder too around, you're talking about the concept of not only making this content for brands and agencies, or whether or not you're a creative agency or you're a social media marketing company or anybody else that might use this. What are the analytics that you use to report that this thing is effective? Do you simply count the videos and the output? Do you try to track views and metrics, or what do you use to quantify the ROI generated for a company for the content that's being generated?
It honestly depends on the client, but I'd say sort of the gold standard with marketing and digital marketing in general is you want to be able to tell the client what their ROAS is, like what their return on ad spend is, because that clearly says that, okay, I invested $100 and I was able to get, let's say, $200 of revenue back. And then they can triangulate that to how much profit they actually got from that sale, right? And that's the closest that you can get to equating how much you spent and if it actually gave you a net positive on your money, like on your return versus that. I'd say that differs because sometimes like smaller clients, they just want to fill in their socials with content and that's mostly good enough for them. Sometimes it's an end-to-end process where not only is it the creatives we have to worry about, but also the social media management piece and the creation of ads, the tracking via the pixel, things like that, which is more end-to-end. But I would say if there was one metric, it still is, I would say, the return on ad spend that is most important for businesses to understand.
Yeah, so you're talking about level one, you need a social media presence. So how do you do that? So one, you can take a podcast, chop it up in long form, and turn that into short form, spread that across the internet, and now you have some sort of at least presence online. So step one, getting presence. Step two, once you have the presence, now you're trying to say, how do I get my ROAS, which is return on the ad spend, and be able to track back, okay, how many people are coming in, whether it's from organic social media or which much more trackable. It sounds like you're making AI ads, for lack of a better term, that are generated, and then you can type that back and say, okay, if we build this AI generated ad, are people clicking through? What are the click through rates? And then if so, you can always do the back end data crunching on the funnelytics of what's going on inside of there. Can you talk to me a little bit about, is there any unique things or things you do around AI ads that you see as a common trend?
When it comes to AI ads, honestly, I think we are getting there, but we are not yet there, right? And the reason why is, like, if you think about the video generation and image generation capabilities, a lot of the problems have been solved. Like previously, we used to have problems around literally like the count of fingers that people have when we're generating with AI. So that's obviously a no-no and a huge tell. And then text as well wasn't adherent, but those have been mostly fixed. Like if you try 2 times, 3 times to generate an image, that usually fixes it. But there's still some ways to go, right? So there's no, like, the length of the video is still quite short, like 8 seconds for VO3 is a bit of a problem. And the unavailability, like the audio visual lock, is not yet there. Like if I want a UGC, user generated content influencer type, to say some specific line, sometimes we don't, it appears as not as good as what we want it to be. And then it starts to become a bit jumbled. That said, I think because there's a real need, people and the industry at large will solve this at some future point. Maybe when people watch this in the future, that it has already been solved. But I'd say when it comes to creating AI ads, the core of it is always going to be, how do you make good ads, right? So there's no difference. The only difference is you can make it better, you can make it faster with AI. But if you think about how to make good ads, it's always about thinking about the consumer first, right? So with a lot of social media now and the way that social media is run mostly, I'd see that a lot of people are gearing towards UGC, like user-generated content. Like before, if on Facebook, on Meta, if you buy Meta ads and you have like a really nice looking creative there with a lot of VFX and a lot of time put in there, sometimes even like I see sometimes ads that are literally screenshots of like an iPhone Notes app, and those sometimes work well. But always the key is the testing, right? So if you have 100 ads that you're able to test, then that will tell you which one works best. And this is where AI really shines. Like I was talking to the founder of RCADS, Romain, and he did a podcast with Greg Eisenberg recently. And I was remarking to him that I really like their example around, they had this client that is basically promoting a learning app, and they were running like hundreds of image ads in there that are all created with AI. And what that allows them to do is, even if some of the image ads are lower quality, they're actually able to just zero in on which ads work best and just use that. That wasn't possible before. Like the amount of effort to create 100 ads is clearly not accessible for most people and will take a lot of investment to do. So I'd say testing plus the continuous improvement of these models, which are bound to happen hopefully, would be the 2 huge unlocks. But the core of it is still, if you are asking what would be the best way to create ads, is always just about thinking about the consumer, thinking about proper testing and looking at the data, which has been true before and it will still be probably true a few years from now.
So you're saying that the real obstacles right now are around the ability to make longer form content with these videos. And one of the biggest issues is really keeping the same state. If I ask for a gorilla video, then gorillas might look different every 8 seconds. And so therefore it kind of breaks the continuity of the video.
Yeah.
So that's one of the elements. The other thing that we're talking about really on the opportunity side of things is about being able to have a plethora of use cases to test on. So, right. So if you want to make 100 different ads, then you can really use this to quickly generate them, run them, A/B test them, and figure out what are the outliers that are top performing in this category, and being able to create those. And it doesn't necessarily need to be perfect, because we know there is a thing around polish versus authenticity.
Yeah,
right? People see these highly polished videos, beautiful things. You're like, "Ugh, someone's trying to sell me something," and like you jump backwards.
Dude, I found it on TikTok with an orange and a stick. I think authenticity. It works.
It works, man. The thing is, it's about value, and people sometimes have this. I think previously, when you see a highly polished video, you would think it would be high value, and then you realize that a lot of those things are just, hi, welcome to the wonderful land of this. And you're like, oh, and you start to tune out. Versus, somebody jumps in the camera like, oh my God, you got to look at this thing. It's incredibly valuable, right? That authenticity where you feel that person come through on the other side of it. I think we're trying to get there with AI generatedness, which is why I think the gorilla videos are so interesting, is that, yes, we know that they're AI generated, but we can tell that there's almost a soul behind that. Now, it might be a slightly disturbed soul, but you feel like, okay, this is some real business going on inside of here. And so I think my question around this is, are you, in terms of pulling like UGC, user generated content, if you're pulling that content out, Are you looking at possibly top performing UGCs and then pairing them up to possibly brand ads and saying, okay, this is what some top performing UGCs are, and then here are some possible brand ads that we could make based upon top performers? Is that the way you might be ideating on this type of stuff? Or how are you trying to pull in the authenticity from content creators and bring this into an AI video generated landscape?
I'd say the core by brand ads, I'm assuming you're referring to like some of those more polished ads that are usually that we were just talking about. Would that be what you were mentioning?
I'm saying anything to really drive people to click through, whether it's a ROAS or whether creating presence on social media, just something to say, how do we take the soul of humanity of what's really working with content creators? And are you leveraging any of that, whether you have scriptwriters writing this or you're pulling what's working online and trying to say, okay, this is what's working online, and then bringing this over into the video landscape? I'm just trying to figure out, is there any way that you're trying to leverage that from an automation perspective?
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely ways. I would say it differs, right? If you are trying to optimize for an ad and you have something that you want to promote, let's say via meta ads, like the key is always testing. Like it almost sometimes doesn't matter unless you're a big brand who's obviously very concerned with like you have already like a huge base that there is something to lose. But if you you're a new aspirant, usually the more ads that you run, the better, because then you'll be able to pinpoint which one works. And if it's like a sort of a robotic, non-human voice that works, then there's sort of a business decision to be made whether to continue running with that because it works, or do we go to the second option which sounds more human. So I'd say that's the human component. The social media aspect, though, like if you're a content creator yourself, like a content business, like me, for example, the reason why I haven't used, like a lot of creators use HeyGen for their likeness and a lot of their content where it's sort of their AI avatar talking, because I think it's not yet there, right? Outside of the AI space, I am unable to find, maybe there is already, I'm unable to find people who use their AI avatars for their content, because it's still visible that it's not an actual person. And so that humanness is stripped, right? You can power a lot of your content with AI for sure, like the script writing. So for example, I have this GPT, like a simple GPT setup where it helps me when I ramble, it organizes it into a script. And I read that and I sort of obviously cross-check and fact-check that. But it's still me, it's my thoughts, but I just have this sort of intern, this AI assistant that helps me write the script more cleanly, right? So it's always together. It's always the human and the AI. And so it really varies depending on what you're trying to do, because with socials and content creation, if you're trying to become a content creator yourself, that factor of authenticity and just being true is much appreciated anyway, and it's what works, right? So gone are the days where like the polished YouTube videos are what is working. For sure, it's still working on some aspects. Like I don't have all visibility, but at least from what I can see, especially on TikTok and even on YouTube, sometimes people sometimes just do quick recordings over like a loon video sort of, and that's how people progress. And yeah, like at the center of it, like N8N, because N8N is so flexible, like you can, a lot of the stuff that I have just talked about, all of those can be orchestrated in N8N. Like you don't have to jump between tabs and use different models through their specific websites in order to do these. And N8N would be sort of the centerpiece to it all, I'd say.
Yeah, so 3 buckets: educational, inspirational, and entertainment. Those are the 3 buckets of value generation. Now, the thing is, when you're creating that value generation, that's why showing a lot of YouTube videos and tutorials is valuable. But then there's also the humorous, whatever, Mr. Beast videos that are just pure entertainment, that you're getting something. Or inspirational, I lost 100 pounds in 100 days. Watch me on my journey. You can too. So these are the 3 different types of values. And what you're saying here, which I think is interesting, is, yours is, I'd say a lot of it is around educational, right? You're learning complex things around N8N, things you can do with video generations, and you're producing videos with it. When you talk about making your own personal workflows, right? So you have a ramble assistant that helps you figure out if you're rambling or not and organizing your thoughts. Are there any things that you do in your own content creation pipeline, whether it's ideation, organization, production, for content that you're using N8N for or AI agents for, to be able to kind of streamline the process for you to make content?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can give one clear example. So I mentioned I started on TikTok, right? So whenever I post videos there, I edit it on the TikTok app. And for quite a while, I didn't really have any presence on like Instagram or Threads. And so what I did, and now the sort of the updated version of that and personal workflow that I have is you have a simple workflow. It started as a simple workflow where you get the TikTok videos from TikTok and then you cross post it to Instagram, to Threads, and wherever using N8N as the orchestrator and the automation tool. And then Blotato is what we use for auto publishing them. What I've done recently is because N8N is so flexible, you can actually customize it so that in Instagram, it adds sort of a top line there where it says comment keyword in order to get this resource. And the reason why is because ManyChat, which is probably a lot of people know, ManyChat is this tool that allows Instagram DM automation. And Instagram, a lot of creators know that if people comment on your videos, there's a higher likelihood that it will get served to more people. Like the algorithm loves it. So operationally, that's how we do it. And then I just have my sort of AI agent via ManyChat reply to people whenever they comment the keyword for that specific video. But the only way by which we were able to do that, where it's custom, because there's a lot of auto poster tools that are sort of SaaS companies as well, right? But it's only in tools like N8N where you can strictly customize what goes into that caption. And even that keyword is dynamic, right? Because obviously it will change per video. I just have like a Google Sheet hooked up whenever I upload a video, I just put in the keyword there and then it gets that keyword for that video for Instagram. So that's one of the ways, very simple, but it's quite effective. Like I didn't check Instagram for a while, and then suddenly I have like 60K. I think I have 70 plus K followers in there now, all by reposting what I have on TikTok, because a few videos went viral and stuff. So that's sort of a mini hack, I would say, and one of the ones that I use the most.
Well, and that's a really good use case too of what you're talking about is you make a high quality educational video on TikTok, you automatically repurpose it, repost it across other channels. You're not even paying attention to it. And then ManyChats, as we know what it is, but just anybody else that doesn't know what it is, it's essentially a no-code version where you can essentially automate your DMs and engagements on Instagram. You can also do it, I think, on Facebook as well. But with ManyChats, what it does is a lot of people say, hey, comment the word potato down below.
Yeah.
And then what happens if they comment the word potato, what that does for the person that is creating the social media content is you're getting more engagement. And so the algorithm, you're hacking the algorithm and Instagram to say, wow, 100,000 people have typed the word potato. This is obviously a high quality video. We should serve more of that. And so you're more or less creating a lead magnet on the front end, but you're automating that process and you're not even getting inside of Instagram because you've hooked up the ManyChat automation to a Google Sheet, to an N8N automation. And now you're driving, this content that if you didn't have that automation placed, you would maybe not have 60,000 subscribers on Instagram. So you're not spreading the word. So it's a really cool use case for you,
exactly,
for leveraging that out.
And I'm a really big fan also of, like, if you try out the automation, like in my Instagram channel, you'll see that it's very clear that it's my AI agent that is sending you the resource. Just to be, because this is one of the things that I think TikTok has done well as well, like being very clear that it's AI generated, for example. Like this one is clearly an automation. And I think we shouldn't shy away from that, right? Like people know if it's automated, it's not really me replying to them, but just to make it more direct, I say that, hey, this is Jay's agent. Thanks for commenting, things like that. So that's how I set it up, just for better transparency.
Yeah, and that's the thing. At the end of the day, people really just want to know. They're not trying to be fooled. They don't want to be fooled. And then if you have this fooled effect, like, ugh. But if you're like, hey, this is an AI agent calling you or texting you or DMing you, I'm here to give you the value that you want. People want it because at the end of the day, they don't want to be tricked and they want the value that they want quickly. So if you comment the word and they never get it and you keep doing that, you're gonna lose trust. And then if you try to trick them as you're and you're not really the human behind the wheel, then they're going to get mad. But if you just give them what they want right away, they're like, oh, this is great. I'm getting value from the thing. So there's a good thing about using automation in an authentic way to be able to deliver value quickly for the people that want to engage with the content that you make.
Exactly. One of my favorite quotes is by David Ogilvy, who's one of the founding fathers of advertising. He said something like, the customer is not a moron, she's your wife, something like that. And that basically means that if you don't want, if whatever thing that you're putting out is something that you don't want to serve to your close friends and family, then don't release it, because every customer that you're trying to communicate can see through it. People are real, and people are able to discern that, right? So if you treat your audience with respect and provide as much transparency as you reasonably can, then it will pay dividends down the line.
100%. Yeah. David Ogilvy is one of those master original OGs in the space of advertisement. And it's a really good point, because there is a thing that people talk about, clickbait. And the thing with clickbait is that you can do clickbait as much as you want, as long as you deliver on the actual clickbaitiness.
Exactly.
So if you say, this is how you can, get leads in your business, I'm going to give you the step by step, and you actually deliver it, amazing. Or I'm going to get, a whole masterclass in AI video generation using it you actually deliver it, amazing. It's just, if every time I go to your video and I know this guy's going to have a clickbaity thing, and I know if I comment down below, I'm never going to get the thing back, you start teaching and training your audience that you don't do what you say. Yeah. You start sowing distrust all across your content. And that's not, it might work in the short term, but it's very short-sighted. So what are some of those warning things that you've seen people do, like inside this space? Like, okay, this is a way to lose trust, but this is a way to gain trust. Like letting them know that there's an AI agent. Are there any other advice that you would give to people that want to automate with AI agents and video generation for social media content?
Yeah. Well, we touched on the main points. Like, one is transparency as much as possible. And then the second one is like exactly not doing this. For example, I sometimes see creators who try to do the comment this keyword, and then you'll get the resource over at Twitter or TikTok. But since I don't think ManyChat has that direct integration with that yet, then it is not really applicable at scale. Like, you can probably comment there and the person will automatically send it. Or I may be wrong. Maybe there's technology out there that is already able to do that. But as a principle, I think just, whatever you promise is what you should deliver. And also, going back to the authenticity point, like sometimes with the AI videos even, I sometimes see videos that perform well where the sort of subject is, this is my failed attempt at my AI ASMR video, and that got like millions of views. So that's like a niche in itself, right? So that would be probably something to think about. I would say that because a lot of our tutorials, like one of our most popular tutorials is like automating and creating content for YouTube for like the Stoicism niche. And because I didn't realize that would get so popular, but it got a lot of views. I think it's like 400,000 views at this point. One of the knock-on effects of that is if you just search for the Stoicism lion video on YouTube, there's a lot of videos already doing that. And so whenever you learn about these new tools and new things, always apply your originality to it, right? So maybe it's like catering to a different language. So I'm Filipino, so I'll see a lot of Tagalog-based AI videos as well. One is like catering to a whole different niche. But I think what's important is to take the technical skills that you learn and apply it to something that you're interested in, so that you're an audience of one at the very least. So if you create like an automation for, let's say, a sleep podcast, let's say, like it should be something that if it runs in the background and you just approve it, you should be able to be the first customer who actually listens to that podcast, let's say. But yeah, I'd say broadly, that's some of the principles that people should follow.
100%. And when you look at that, there's a couple of elements I think are good. One, you had that is Matsui. I think it was Matsui Z, the video that you're showing. It was the motivational video series. I used to watch a bunch of those back in the day because I'm really into Stoicism, the philosophy, and all that jazz. Conversation for another time. But I saw that, I was like, wow, he's able to generate that. So I did watch your lion video on that topic, and it was really neat because there is value in that. And I think part of it is trying to figure out, how do you put your own personality or your own interests or your own appeal on a model that works? Because that was, you're teaching a framework for video generation, teaching a framework for script generation. How do I take these and bring the essence of me into it? How do I deliver what I say I'm going to deliver in the clickbaity title if you do that? How do I deliver on the back end if I say put something in, I'm going to give you X, Y, and Z, so that you keep the promises you make, you can build integrity with your audience, and then you make things that are enjoyable, that, if it is your wife or if it's you on the other side of that, is this something that I would enjoy? And if you're making it for yourself and you're enjoying it and you catch yourself watching them, then the chances are there's a lot of value there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love it. Jay, it's been awesome to have you on the podcast, brother. I really appreciate this. Is there anything else you'd like to let the audience know about before you tell them how to get a hold of you?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I think the only thing is like we are in exciting times. Like we were talking about that video that I had that was, I believe, maybe 3-4 months ago. And back then, the technology is so different already versus how it is now. So I think we have not yet reached the peak of what would be possible because there's so many people working on this space. And just stay tuned for what's happening. Like be aware about the latest AI models as much as you reasonably can. I think if you stay on this track as long as possible, then it will pay dividends for you down the line. And also have a think around like AI automation agencies, like streamlining operations, or even the track we're on, which is sort of the creative aspect. Those are not the only two tracks, right? There are a lot of services that are billion-dollar markets right now regarding, I don't know, recruiting or real estate. There's probably a lot of very specific use cases there where AI can come in and assist with the current workflows, with the current, I guess, way of working. And if you plug in AI, plug in N8N, what would that look like? And then that can reasonably, I guess, bring down your, raise up your margins, bring down your costs, and just make it more accessible for the normal folk instead of like the bigger groups that have the manpower and resource to help out businesses in that realm. So yeah, have a think on what's true to you.
I love it. Yeah, and what it makes me think about is almost like finding your niche in the area that you are interested in, but also kind of adding in these lessons learned. So for example, a Stoic video to help motivate real estate, creative people in their industry to say, hey, this is specifically dedicated to Stoic philosophy in the real estate space just for you. So you're leveraging and pulling the things that you're interested in and then putting it in a unique category, because the chances are there's probably not a lot of those Lions for real estate videos that are out there. Maybe there is, and maybe there will be. Yeah, but that's an interesting use case of going, this is interesting. How do I Ikigai put these things together in a unique space that is unseen? That is something that brings me personal joy and adds value to the audience that I'm seeking.
Yeah,
cool.
Exactly right.
Yeah. And Jay, how do people find you?
Just the usual. Like if you type in RoboNuggets everywhere, you'll probably find us. YouTube is mainly where we're at. We have a lot of tutorials there and lessons as well. We obviously are present in school. We have a free network now, which basically where we share a lot of our workflows, but the paid community, the community that we run, the RoboNuggets community, that's sort of our education program in ARM, where we basically teach a lot of AI practitioners. I think we have several hundred members now across the globe. They're basically all AI practitioners creating with AI. So that's a good community to be in, and where we share everything basically. But yeah, just look for RoboNuggets and then you'll be able to find us as well.
Jay, it's been an honor and pleasure, my friend. Much love, and I will see you on the other side.
Thanks, Dylan.
See ya. Bye now.
Bye.